Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us. I'm Abru Sabzwari. And now look at the headlines. Obama administration defends massive phone record collection. The Syrian army recaptures key Golan Heights crossing. Extremist Sunni Sheikh Qaradawi's fatwa leads to gunmen killing 14 Shia Muslims. Millions of pilgrims visit the holy shrine of Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salam. Turkey protests gain momentum. Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif outlines foreign policy. And now the news in detail. President Obama defended the collection of the telephone records of millions of Americans as a move to counter terrorism, reigniting a fierce debate on the issue of privacy. This came as a result when Britain's Guardian newspaper published a secret court order authorizing the collection of phone records generated by millions of Verizon Communications customers on Wednesday. Privacy advocates categorized the order as unconstitutional government surveillance and called for a review of the program amid renewed concerns about intelligence gathering efforts launched after the September 11 attacks. The revelation also put a spotlight on the handling of intelligence and privacy issues by President Barack Obama's administration, which already is under fire for searching the telephone records of Associated Press journalists. The White House said strict controls were in place to ensure the program did not violate any civil liberties and emphasized that the collection of data did not include listening in on any of the calls. The Syrian army troops have established control over a key crossing in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights shortly after it fell into the hands of foreign-backed militants. Syrian forces liberated the Quneitra crossing situated between Syria and the Golan Heights after heavy clashes with anti-government gunmen on Thursday. Meanwhile, Austria announced that it will withdraw its peacekeepers from the UN monitoring force on the Golan Heights in wake of ongoing battles in the area. Austrians account for about 380 of the 1,000-strong United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, and their departure will deal a serious blow to the mission. Israel captured the Golan Heights from Syria during the Six-Day War of 1967, when it also took control of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. It annexed the Golan Heights in 1981, although the move was never recognized by the international community and was a violation of international law. The Israeli regime has used various means to help the foreign-sponsored militants in Syria, including the provision of medical assistance. Also on Thursday, the Syrian troops recaptured the town of al-Daba'a. This came after the army liberated the strategic town of Qusayr on Wednesday, following 3 weeks of fighting with the militants. Syria has been gripped by a deadly unrest since March 2011, and many people, including large numbers of government forces, have been killed in the violence. In Iraq, extremist Sunni Sheikh Qaradawi's fatwa leads to gunmen shooting dead 14 Shia Muslims from Karbala. Nukhayb, a town near the site of a deadly 2011 ambush, sits at a desert crossroads west of the Shia holy city of Karbala, but is in the Sunni-dominated Anbar province. Saudi-backed gunmen ambushed a group of travelers at a fake checkpoint at a remote desert site in western Iraq on Wednesday and killed at least 14 of them, according to Iraqi officials, in what appeared to be the latest blow in sectarian violence gripping the country. According to officials, the assailants manning the fake highway checkpoint checked the identities of travelers, presumably to identify their sect based on their names. Police said they found blood-stained IDs on the ground, identifying some of the dead as coming from Karbala, 60 miles south of Baghdad. Officials said the 14 victims of Wednesday's attack were shot in the head. They said the dead included police and soldiers, as well as civilian residents of the overwhelmingly Shia city Karbala. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to release the information to reporters. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for Wednesday's attack. Iraqi officials believe Sunni insurgents, including Al-Qaeda's Iraq branch, as well as the loyalists of Saddam Hussein's former regime, are responsible for much of the violence against Shias and government security forces. Muhammad al-Musawi, a provincial councilman in Karbala, confirmed that 4 of the dead ambushed were civilians from the province. More than 7 million Shia pilgrims traveled to Kadhim to commemorate the death of the 7th Holy Imam, Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salam. Interior Ministry spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Saad Man Ibrahim said Tuesday that several thousand policemen and soldiers were deployed in Baghdad to secure the processions. Pilgrims underwent several searches before reaching the gates of Imam Musa Kadhim's shrine. Many of the main streets in the capital were also closed in recent days to prevent attacks on the walking pilgrims. No significant attacks, however, were reported. The secretary of the Holy Shrine of Imam Musa Kadhim announced that visitors who attended the Kadhimiya city to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Kadhim exceeded more than 7 million pilgrims, among them 42,000 foreigners. The Secretary General of Imam Musa Kadhim's Holy Shrine, Fadil al-Ambari, reported in press conference that the pilgrimage started sooner this year, bringing together more than 7 million visitors. He also added that the security side played an important role in serving the visitors who, through high-level coordination, provided free food, water, medical care, and transportation to the pilgrims. Let's take a look. Anti-government protests in Turkey gain momentum after Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan vowed to push ahead with a controversial Istanbul development plan. According to an AFP report, speaking in the Tunisian capital Tunis on Thursday, just hours before his return to Turkey, Erdogan enraged protesters at home by saying that he would go ahead with the plan to develop Istanbul's Gezi Park, which is a part of Taksim Square, into a shopping mall and cultural center. Thousands of flag-waving, chanting demonstrators packed the iconic square to demand that Erdogan step down. In Tunis, Erdogan reiterated his claims that extremists and foreign agitators were to blame for the violence, adding that 7 foreigners were arrested in connection with the week-long protests. He, however, did not specify the nationalities of the detainees. Since Friday, tens of thousands of anti-government demonstrations have been held in Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir, Mughla, Antalya, and many other cities and towns. The death toll from the protest has risen to 5 following the death of a police officer. Turkish Human Rights Foundation says some 4,300 people have been hurt or sought medical care for the effects of tear gas inhalation. The Turkish government says dozens of police officers have been injured. The anti-government unrest began after police broke up a sit-in staged in Taksim Square on May 31st to protest against the demolition of Gezi Park. The protesters say the park, which is a traditional gathering point for rallies and demonstrations as well as a popular tourist destination, is the city's last green public space. Newly elected Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif outlined the priorities of his government's foreign policy, stressing immediate attention on Pakistan's neighboring countries. In a message for all heads of Pakistan's missions, the Prime Minister said a policy of an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned process of peace and reconciliation would be pursued by Pakistan. He stated that unless the region is peaceful, our efforts for growth and development will not meet with success. Mr. Sharif stressed on the importance of developing regional consensus on supporting a stable government and peace in Afghanistan. In regards to relations with India, the Prime Minister stressed upon the need to progressively pursue normalcy in bilateral relations, while actively seeking solutions for all outstanding issues, including the disputed region of Jammu and Kashmir. On relations with the U.S., Sharif noted that the two countries have many areas of common interest. He stated that we will build on convergence, and wherever there is divergence, we will work to try to minimize and remove such divergence. Mr. Sharif stated that China has always been a great friend and a significant economic partner, and that Pakistan will strengthen that valuable relationship. He also added that Russia is an important partner and regional power with whom Pakistan shall continue to enhance ties. The Prime Minister stated that the people of Pakistan had pronounced themselves clearly on the future direction that the country should take. He added that the government would be guided by the wisdom of the people, the vision of the founder Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and the desire to see Pakistan acquire its rightful place with other nations. And that brings us to the end of today's news bulletin. We hope you stay tuned to Velayat TV for our special live 5-day transmission from Karbala. If you would like to contribute your community's news, you could do so by emailing us at news@velayattv.org. You can also catch the latest headlines and more by logging on to our website, velayattv.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Abru Sabzwari.